Look at this. This, and this too. Do you see the pattern? These vehicles share something in common. None of them are armored. None of the soldiers inside are protected. And all of them are Russian. Russia is sending its soldiers to war naked, literally. No helmets, no vests, nothing. And when I say naked, I mean that 80% of the troops are going into combat with less protection than you have driving your car. The math of this is scary, and what it reveals about Putin is even worse. What you just saw isn't propaganda. These are verified videos of multiple incidents documented by Ukrainian commanders. People who are there seeing this happen with their own eyes. Ihor Komak, deputy commander of Ukraine's 2nd Mechanized Battalion, observed this situation repeating itself in the Lyman region, a city in eastern Ukraine. Right on the front line of the war, out of 20 recent Russian assault groups, only 4 were wearing helmets and ballistic vests. Only 4. And here's a shocking fact. 80% of Russian soldiers are going into combat without basic protection. A Ukrainian brigade shared photos of at least 6 dead Russian soldiers, and none of them were wearing armor. Igor Komak summed up the reality well, saying, "These are not isolated cases. They are being forced to fight without the armor they need." So, here's the question: why? Why is the world's 2nd largest military power sending soldiers to war without basic equipment? The answer lies in a contradiction so absurd that, when you understand it, it will seem impossible. But that's exactly what's happening. Let's start with the numbers. By November 30th, 2025, Ukrainian estimates indicate that Russia has suffered 1,172,860 casualties. Over 1 million soldiers killed or wounded. Let me put that into perspective. The Soviet Union fought in Afghanistan for 10 years, a full 10 years of war. Do you know how many casualties? About 50,000. Putin sacrificed 23 times more soldiers in less than 4 years. With these huge losses, you'd expect Russia to be desperate to protect the soldiers it still has, right? It still does, right? Recruiting and training are costly. Losing soldiers slows things down. And this is where the story gets wild. Russia is paying a $28,000 bonus to every soldier who signs a contract. $28,000 just to convince someone to join. Then, another $3,200 per month in salary during the first half of 2025 alone. Putin spent $25 billion on salaries and bonuses. Now, think with me. That's $28,000 per soldier, right? And how much does a basic military helmet cost? You can guess it's around $500. A ballistic vest, something around $1,000, maybe more. The full equipment, something around $2,000. Look, they have $28,000 to recruit each soldier, but they don't have $500 for a helmet. Consider this. This contradiction is crucial to understanding everything. $28,000 to recruit, $500 for the helmet. Yet the soldier goes to war without it. That doesn't make sense, right? The only explanation can be scarcity, lack of equipment. In other words, Russia simply doesn't have enough helmets. But that's not it. Russia lost $112 billion in destroyed equipment. Tanks, armored vehicles, artillery, all turning into scrap. The Soviet-era reserves are gone. Production can't keep up with the losses. But $112 billion in destroyed equipment means they were producing, right? Billions of dollars in tanks, in vehicles, in missiles. It's hard to believe they couldn't manage to produce $500 helmets. The truth is something else. It's not a lack of capability, it's a choice. And here's the grim logic behind that choice. This war has revealed a harsh reality. For Putin, soldiers aren't people. They're disposable resources. And when you see soldiers as a resource, the math changes completely. You've already spent $28,000 to convince the guy to sign the contract. He's already committed. He's already in the system. Why spend another $2,000 equipping him? If he dies, take the $28,000 from each of the next ones. It's cheaper to replace the soldier than to equip him to survive. Let me show you how this works in practice. There's a military concept called Reconnaissance by death. You send unprotected soldiers into dangerous areas, and when they're attacked, they reveal where the enemy is. They're bait, human probes. And here's the point. A soldier, with or without a vest, serves exactly the same function when used as bait, but with one big difference. One costs $500 more. In Putin's mind, spending that money is a waste. The soldier is going to die anyway. At least this way, you save the cost of the helmet. And there's more. Russian commanders lie to these soldiers, telling them that the territory ahead is clear, occupied by allies. The soldiers, believing it, walk unprotected straight into Ukrainian positions and die without understanding what happened. Disturbing, isn't it? The truth is, for them, informing the soldier doesn't change the outcome. He goes the same way. So why waste energy explaining? Now you might be thinking, okay, but that's Lyman. Maybe it's a specific, poorly managed region. No, this is happening all along the front line. On November 10th, 2025, near the city of Pokrovsk, a region of intense fighting, Russia tried something that looks like a scene straight out of the movie Mad Max. Russia has already lost more than 11,000 tanks, more than 23,000 armored vehicles. They don't have enough heavy equipment anymore, so they improvised. They used motorcycles, pickups, civilian vehicles, buggies, anything that moves, put it all together in a convoy, and tried to infiltrate the Ukrainian lines. The plan was to use dense fog to hide from the drones. The fog lifted, but Ukraine was already prepared for that. Ukrainian F-16s and drone operators were waiting. The Russian vehicles, unarmored, exploded like paper. The survivors ran to the ruins and were hunted down one by one. And do you think that changed anything? That anyone in the Russian command thought, look, maybe we should better equip these people? No, because the numbers still add up. You lost 50 soldiers in an attack? Recruit 50 more. Each one costs $28,000. Pay it, but don't spend the $500 on the helmet. Replace, don't equip. And if you think I'm exaggerating, let me tell you the most disturbing story of all. March of 2025, International Women's Day. United Russia, Putin's party, decides to give gifts to mothers of soldiers killed in Murmansk, a region in the far north of Russia, practically in the Arctic. Do you know what they gave? Meat grinders. Unbelievable. Look, Maya Surubka, that's what Russians and Ukrainians call this war. It means the grinding machine, the grinder that turns soldiers into ground meat. And the Russian government gave the literal object to mothers who lost sons in that grinder. When outrage erupted, officials defended themselves, saying that the mothers asked for it. They couldn't understand the problem. This is what happens when you see soldiers as a resource for too long. You stop seeing the symbolism. You stop seeing the humanity. Do you genuinely think that trading a child for an appliance is a fair deal? And this mentality permeates everything, because for them, a soldier is just raw material. You don't invest in protecting raw material that's going to be consumed anyway. You just make sure you have enough stock. The numbers confirm that. The current rate is brutal. About 1,100 Russian casualties per day. Just in November 2025, more than 1,000 people per day. And Russia's response isn't to better protect those they have, it's to recruit more. Meanwhile, Russia's financial reserves are plummeting. The money is running out, and even so, they keep paying $28,000 per head. Because, in the Kremlin's macabre math, that's the smart move. Even Russian critics have begun to notice. Military bloggers who support the war are openly complaining about it. They say that television shows stupid victories, while entire regiments die for unimportant villages. The narrative is cracking, but the system goes on. And do you know what's worse? Winter is coming for them. From December to February, temperatures in that region drop to 15, maybe 20 degrees below zero, sometimes even colder. Soldiers without armor will now also face this without proper warm clothing. And they'll do it while fighting against thermal drones that can see perfectly in the cold. Ukraine is attacking Russian refineries, creating a fuel shortage. And do you know what Russia's response will be? More soldiers, another $28,000 per head, because it's cheaper to replace than to equip. Remember that soldier at the beginning, running from the drone without protection? He's not an enemy by choice. He believed in the promise of $28,000. He signed the contract. He was sent to war. And he found out that Putin had money to convince him to go, but not to keep him alive. Because in Putin's mind, he already served his purpose. He's already committed. He's already there. Protecting him now would just be a waste of money. That's the reality of Putin's troops. They're fighting naked. It's not incompetence. It's not disorganization. It's a calculated choice. It's a machine that turns money and people into ground meat. And it works exactly as it was designed. The question that remains is, how long will this continue? How long can Russia keep sacrificing soldiers like this? And what do you think about this situation? Leave your opinion in the comments. If this video helped you understand something you didn't know, share it and subscribe to the channel for more analyses like this. See you next time.